The college football experience national championship reaction show and 2025 college football season look ahead on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up, and when you do, sign up with the promo code TCE SGPN to get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm is the leader in data-driven picks and props. Get your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. And remember, as always, folks, too, let it ride.
This is Dan Hawkins. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Yes. Woo! Welcome to the college football experience. Natty reaction, playoff recap, 2025 look ahead episode. Yes, and if youtube.com/the college experience, get on over there, hit that like and subscribe button. Shout out to Stephen A with the Tech Mo Bowl. What did he say? Go back to that. How many days did he say?
212.
212 days till college football returns. He's already jonesing for it. We all are. YouTube.com/the college experience. Hit that like and subscribe button. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, my name is Kobe Swinging Database Dad, aka Pick Dundee. That's not a pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
And you're nothing but a chameleon, lemon-headed, coward, terrorist pussy. And I'm after you, buddy. You're going to pay for it. Good night.
Well, I hit my wager. There's that,
Nick, you took Ohio State, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. I was on the Buckeyes, and
Uh,
I was the only one who did not. Couldn't have a clean sweep.
I guess we'll get into it. Let's get on with the introduction.
I am joined by my co-host. Give it up for former JMU Duke defensive back, the burrito eating, sideline kiss stealing, wheeling dealing, Patty C in the place to be. Let's go. Shout out to Todd. Hops in the chat says, just want to say congrats on another year and thank you for all the hard work. SGPN and TCE, the only place to be if you're a DJ. There we go. Cheers, brother. Appreciate you tuning in. Appreciate your ears, your views, your eyes, all that shit. And I'm looking forward to next year as well. We're also joined by third man in the booth, the DFS god himself. Give it up for the rooftop IPA drinking, homebrew making, tobacco road living, the free lot giving, former Herndon Basketball League MVP. We get over NC Nick in the place to be.
There we go. What's up, guys?
Oh, just gotta hear this I don't know that we're gonna hear this every time. So, it's just, you gotta make sure you get this in.
Soak it in, because it's gonna be a while.
Yeah, sort of. In many ways, just the excitement of the games. But
we got a bunch of degens. They're going to be excited about schedule releases, recruiting, rankings, transfer portal.
Year round, baby. Year round.
It's year round. It is a year round fucking thing. Now let's just talk about this game first. Everyone else is doing their reaction shows. I said, no, fuck it. We'll go a couple days after.
It feels like it's been like a week and a half or something. Like, I don't know about you guys, but we got snow. All the kids have been home from school all week, trying to balance that and work. I feel like the national championship game was like a week and a half ago.
Yeah. And that Natty, that national championship. There's a lot of things I want to ask you. Let's first dissect the game. 34-23. Ohio State wins the game, covers. They were up 31-7 at one point. Were you surprised on the way? Like I thought the blueprint for Notre Dame to stay in the game was to go up 7-0, and they caught about 40 QB powers on the first drive. And I was like, I was fired up. I felt like Rudiger. All right. I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. It's like they have Pavia. Turns out he's not Pavia. He vomited on the sidelines after that drive. Where Pavia just would have pissed on them some more. But I thought that was the blueprint on how Notre Dame could stay in this game. But then Ohio State scored on their first 5 drives, I believe. That's not good. And 34-23. Were you surprised on the way the game went, NC Nick, to a certain extent?
Not really. I mean, first off, 9 carries by Riley Leonard on the opening drive is not sustainable. What is he going to have, like 40 plus carries the whole game? I mean, you can't do that to your quarterback. So, I get it. You need to go off to a good start. You need to put the pressure on Ohio State, but they really leaned too heavy on the quarterback the opening drive. And dude, he had 8 carries the rest of the game. 9 carries opening drive, 8 carries the rest of the game. But no, I mean, look, me and you picked Ohio State because they're just the far superior team, the far more talented team, especially with the injuries. The only reason why Notre Dame was flirting with a cover and getting back into it was Ohio State went fucking uber conservative in the second half. I mean, I made the joke that the only thing more conservative than Ohio State's fourth quarter play calling was the presidential inauguration that night. You know,
I mean, was that just with the Village people? Is that what you're talking about there?
I'm just saying. You know, I mean, the folks that won were on the conservative side. But I mean, if you look at the second half play calling, like in the fourth quarter, Ohio State 11 rushes to 2 passes. Obviously, that one pass was the one that sealed the deal. Thankfully, somebody said, hey, maybe we should take a shot here and try to win it on offense. But even go into the third quarter, the last 5 drives, 19 runs to 6 passes. This was almost, I mean, Ohio State let Notre Dame back into the game. This was almost like a blowout. Like when Ohio State rattled off 31 straight points, I thought this might be like 50-10 or something.
Well, they were driving. I don't know exactly the timing of the forced fumble late in the game that kind of turned the tables and allowed Notre Dame to get into that. But if Ohio State scores on that drive, which it looked like they were moving the ball and possibly could have, then that game gets even more out of hand. So, yeah, Notre Dame, to their credit, figured out a way to make it a game. But, yeah, they just were overmatched kind of and didn't have a game plan. Outside of that,
I would say to Notre Dame's credit and to Ohio State's discredit for going way too conservative in the second half. Like, look, great season. You won the national championship. I'm not trying to rain on your parade, but this game should have never gotten that close. It should have never got back down to 8 points.
Marcus Freeman at the same time I thought this was his worst coach. Obvious fake punt, even though it would have worked if he caught it. Like, I was just like, what are you doing? Like, my first thought was like, this is the most obvious potential for a fake punt. And then he really faked it. And then to kick a field goal with a 16-point game was a bit confusing. It's very Narduzzi-like.
I agree. Yeah. No, I agree. There was a couple of points where like, what are you doing? But overall, his team didn't belong in this game. So the fact that he got them here and then had a chance to come back overall, this year was a great coaching job by Marcus Freeman. There was
when you say they didn't belong in the game, do you mean that they weren't a quality enough team to play in this game, or they weren't a match for Ohio State?
No, I shouldn't say that. I mean, look, they beat 2 Big Ten teams and an SEC team on the road to get there. You know, so give them credit
belonged in the game.
Sure. Now, one thing I wanted to bring up, and I don't know if we want to do this now or continue talking about the game, but we all knew that Notre Dame's side of the bracket, whether you call it the right side or the bottom side, however your bracket was aligned, we knew that was the weakest side, and somebody had to come out of that side, whether it be a Georgia team that was not as good as Georgia the last few years, or Penn State, who's always a bit phony, or Notre Dame. Somebody had to come out of that side. And give credit for Notre Dame for beating those teams. They were all good teams, but we knew that was the weakest side.
Well, and they also sustained injuries along the way. I mean, the Indiana game, they lost their best defensive lineman. Then they lost their left tackle in the Penn State game. So like those were key injuries that I think now even if they're fully healthy, I still would think Ohio State would win this game, but it would be a lot closer to me.
And don't forget Jeremiah Love, 4 carries. I mean, that dude was not 100%. No, he was nowhere near 100%.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have their best corner who would have locked up with Jeremiah Smith as well, like who was out for the year. He got mid-season out for the year. Yeah. So, I mean, they had it was a great run. They deserved to be there, but Ohio State was just healthier and better at every position, I feel like, for the most part. And Ohio State's O-line, which has kind of been a question mark throughout the season. Go back and watch that Michigan game. Even the Nebraska game, I thought they were pretty weak. They stepped up to the plate in that game and were able to. Thought Chip Kelly caught a great game too. And
at least in the first half.
Yeah, at least in the first half, you're right.
Well, I mean, you wonder in the second half is that Day telling him to take the air out of the ball, suck that clock, run the ball. Who knows? But I thought in the first half he called great play calling.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some element of intentionally. I think you can't even say it's poor play calling in the second half. I mean, letting Notre Dame get back into it, yes, but that's put partially on the Ohio State defense. You expect your defense to be able to show up a little bit, but they only managed Ohio State 13 points, 21 points in the first half, 13 in the second. So it wasn't like they completely shut down in the second half. But yeah, I mean, obviously they went more conservative. But to your guys' point about Jeremiah Love, it's like I would say he's what their offense. I mean, you could say maybe Riley Leonard, but just as much Jeremiah Love is what their offense has been predicated upon all year long. And for him to only have 4 carries, it's like, of course, you're completely one-dimensional at that point. That guy is like a huge dimension of your offense. And now you're just having to rush, like you said, 9 power quarterback powers on one drive with Riley Leonard. Yeah, you can't run an off, or that's not a game plan. So
Riley Leonard was also off on a couple passes, couple big passes early in that game that if they got those, it would have sustained the drives, and I think it would have stopped the bleeding a little bit.
And it would have softened up the defense.
If you're looking for the most accurate passer in the world, it is not Riley Leonard. I like Riley Leonard. He's a good college quarterback because he is a gamer. He can run the ball, and I think he's clutch, and he can do enough with his arm. But if you're talking about like just accurate passing, then you're better off with Sam Hartman the year before than Riley Leonard. You have to expect for him to miss a couple throws every game.
Yeah. That said, he did outgain Will Howard in passing yards, which is stunning because Will Howard looked like Joe Montana.
That's all game script. That's
all
game script. Yeah, I mean the fact that first off, shout out. I don't know if you guys were paying attention on Twitter, but the last play of the game where they don't even show the snap because they go to Ryan Day in the Gatorade. Well, I needed about 12 yards for Riley Leonard passing yards to break 250 and hit a plus 750 ladder. So I don't know if like that play counts because they show like the tail end of it and it's like a 15-yard pass play. So I'm like looking at like the ESPN, the score app. At first the game goes final and the passing yards don't get added. So I'm thinking the play didn't get off, but then they get added. So it was a fun game because it went down, like gambling wise, it went down to the very last play. And sure enough, they got the play off. I got the 15 yards. Riley Leonard ends with 255 passing yards. And I do hit that nice ladder. But yeah. And then, look at rushing 214 yards, Ohio State, 53 Notre Dame.
Yeah. That's pretty shocking. So, yeah, I mean, Ryan Day, everyone doubted us, but we got it done. But hey, shout out to Ryan Day. I know he got death threats and shit, so that's got to feel good. You're forever cemented, but the death threats might be back if you lose at Michigan next year, despite the Natty. But yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone doubted you. In fact, I want to say I was listening to one of our episodes back in. Someone in the chat asked me for the Natty. Who would win the Natty last May? Now, I took a future on Oregon in July, but I got no idea. But give me Ohio State to win the national championship. We knew they were returning a ton. They paid to keep their players to stay and not go to the NFL. They paid to get Caleb Downs. They paid to get Quinshon Judkins and even Will Howard, even though I had issues with that. And I got to give Will Howard credit. He played better than I thought he would play.
For sure.
The second half of the season. Yeah. Playoffs, really. Yeah.
And when we did our week 0 picks and college football playoff preview, we all picked our teams for the playoff. We all picked our national champion. Colby did go Oregon. Patty C, you went Georgia, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And I did go Buckeyes.
Boom.
So give me a little bit of credit. I know it's not like the craziest pick in the world because they did have the best roster, but on one hand, I mean, none of us are Buckeye fans, but on one hand, it's kind of nice to see Day get it done finally.
Let me ask you guys this. I had Oregon beating Ohio State in the regular season matchup in Eugene. I had them playing each other again in the Big Ten championship and Ohio State winning. And then I had the third matchup, Oregon winning in the playoffs. So the question I want to ask you is if Michigan doesn't beat Ohio State and Ohio State plays Oregon in the Big Ten championship, I think Ohio State gets that win. And then that third game, I think it's a completely different fucking game. How do you, I mean, I know it's a super crazy hypothetical, but would you agree to that?
I think Ohio State was a better team, but it might have made.
I mean, I think I think Oregon and Ohio State were the top 2 teams in the nation.
I think depending on where that game was played, the second or the third time around, or even the second time around, Oregon might have had a decent chance. I know we said Oregon in a dome is basically what I'm getting at. I feel like they play faster, although that clearly wasn't the case. Ohio State just went vertical on their ass and was able to light them up early and often in the Rose Bowl. So, I don't know.
John in the chat says they don't win the national title without the Michigan loss. So that's another thing.
I agree. That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a catalyst. That was a motivator, and they were able to circle the wagons and really come together as a team after that loss. I think that's for sure. Because after that game, they came out and dominated 3 of 4 CFP teams.
And if I got to read one more tweet by these fucking losers, right? Who was it? The beat reporter for the Georgia Bulldogs. I feel like I saw
Coffee. Yeah. Whatever is in John.
Yeah. It was just saying that this is why we've ruined college football because Ohio State should have lost when they lost to Michigan. Their season should have been over. They would have fired Ryan Day. You ruined the perfect regular season. Let's not forget that Alabama lost to Auburn in the 4-team playoff. And guess what? They didn't win the SEC. They didn't even play for the SEC championship. They were allowed in the playoffs. Also, this happened to Ohio State in 2014 when Penn State won the Big Ten championship. Ohio State got the nod over Penn State because there was no fucking auto bid, right? So they benefited from not playing a game. They got in, and they did run that table, by the way. So,
yeah,
I mean, I want your guys' opinion on the overall first year of the 12-team playoff. A lot of people had issue with I saw so many people tweeting from Joel Klatt that there's no momentum on this college football national championship, right? Like this is played too late into the year. I disagree personally. Like, I mean, the momentum thing I think would be better if it was on a Saturday, but still, I think you can go further into the season. People watch football. They want to watch football.
I think the ratings were pretty damn good too, by the way.
Yeah,
well, it wasn't as good as the previous years, but once again, the inauguration and it was on a fucking holiday. So you have people, traveling back from, 3-day weekend and stuff. So I just think, first off, I just think a Saturday will get a better number. Doesn't matter, whatever, than a Monday. You could be fucking MacGyver for all we, I just think Saturday is going to get better ratings. More people are going to be at home on the weekend than Monday.
I don't know if that's true or not though, Patty. Because a lot of times, like, the college basketball national championship is on a Monday. A lot of people think if you do it on a Saturday, more people are going to be at bars or more people are going to go to other friends' houses and actual number of TVs will be less. On Monday night, they're not going to go out. They're going to stay at home and you get more TVs.
Well, not on a holiday then.
Well, the holiday thing, does that matter? Maybe people are. I don't know if that matters.
Yeah,
I mean, it went from 25 million down to 22 million. It's not like that's some drastic drop off. And to me, like I posted it today on Twitter, the Michigan story was a much longer developing story for college football. Not only did you have the scandal, but you had 10 years of Harbaugh building to it. Can he get it done? A fantastic semifinal game, epic semifinal between Michigan and Alabama drew a bunch of eyeballs too. So that's like, you know, it was almost a letdown last year in the national championship compared to Michigan versus Alabama in the Rose Bowl, but still it was such a compelling team. And people, I think, wanted to see if Michigan would get it done. Whereas with Ohio State, it's okay. They're back there again, where they've been in the national championship like 5 times since 2000 or something like that. And then Notre Dame, you know, I guess they're somewhat compelling. I would have expected a little bit bigger a number, but it wasn't terrible. You know, I don't buy that.
Hang on, EB Steelers. It's MLK Day, not Christmas. He's saying, but it was also the inauguration.
Yeah, like, I think that's maybe more important than MLK.
No, I don't think people are circling it as MLK. I think they're just thinking, hey, 3-day weekend. Hey, let's fly to Hawaii. Let's go to,
usually they're back Monday night in order to go to work Tuesday.
True, but you just might be exhausted from doing 20 Jaeger bombs the past 3 nights. You know what I mean? So
I don't know. For me, like I don't give a shit about ratings. If anything, I want ratings to be worse. So TV execs don't have more power. You know,
that's a good point. That's a good point. No one should watch this, so that Stanford and Cal can go back and form their own conference in the West.
That's why we don't want college basketball to get that big, because it's kind of like a hidden gem, a hidden treasure, especially regular season college basketball. If it gets bigger, I mean, in one way, you're kind of rooting for it because you love it and you want it to be, you know, have a wider appeal, and you want the college basketball show to do better. At the same time, you don't want it to get too big, because we saw what getting too big does to the NBA, the NFL, and maybe college football, you could argue.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. Folks, want to tell you that the college football experience is brought to you by SGPN. We are part of SGPN. And in honor of the big game, which, you know, as someone that's a host of the college basketball experience, we over at the College Basketball Experience are deeming UMass at LaSalle, Frank Martin against Fran Dunphy, the big game on February 9th. In honor of that big game, from now until February 9th, 15% off everything in the SGPN merch store with the promo code Big Game, no space between it, just BIGGAME. And get yourself a Pick Dundee t-shirt or a Patty C t-shirt. Get on over there. All right. And let it ride. We're also brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Playoffs. We're talking about playoffs. Yeah, I bet we are. Get in on the action. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official betting partner of the NFL. Scoring touchdowns is key to winning in the playoffs, and you can score big by betting on them at DraftKings, the #1 place to bet touchdowns. Ready to place your first bet? Try betting on something simple like a player to score 6. Go to DraftKings Sportsbook app and make your pick today. New DraftKings customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use that promo code SGP. Once again, that's code SGP for new customers. You get $200 in bonus bets when you bet just $5. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 age plus, and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Whew.
Very nice.
Man.
All right, we are back and talking. So, I mean, look, I'm curious how things are going to look moving forward. You got obviously Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs are going to be back at Ohio State next year, but they lose.
Real quick, though, before we move on to next year, can we do a quick exercise in this past year's bracket and play a what if a team from Ohio State side of the bracket was in Notre Dame side of the bracket?
Sure.
Now, I don't want to shit on Notre Dame. They had a great year, but were they really the second best team in the nation? So,
I think Oregon was, personally.
I would say, if Oregon is the number 2 seed instead of the 1 seed, do we see Ohio State-Oregon rematch?
Probably because
that would mean Oregon, Notre Dame in the second round.
Yeah,
it's really tough to say how good Oregon really was because they played Penn State pretty close. They had a.
Did they ever trail in that game though? I don't think they ever trailed.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a comfortable lead, but I don't think they ever were really super threatened. But I don't think they were ever really comfortable in that game either. I think it was a decent game. But Penn State was a good team. I would say a top 7 team in the country, certainly. But then what? Who was Boise? Boise gave them a run for their money in Eugene. Granted, that was early in the season. So, and other than that, there wasn't really. I mean, they kind of lucked up against Ohio State and Eugene. Whatever, they outplayed them. They won the game. But in a neutral site or especially a road site, they didn't face many challenges where we really got an idea of just how great Oregon really was. So. But yeah, I would tend to agree with you, especially with an injured Carson Beck, that they probably are the best team on that side of the bracket if they're in that. I mean, Texas probably would be too. Texas was probably the third best team.
I was gonna say, hold on, before we jump to Texas, let's go.
See, I'm not on board with Texas.
I think Texas, go to the 4 seed, Arizona State. If Arizona State was a 3 seed in Boise's spot instead of a 4 seed, how far could Arizona State have gone? Then we're talking about
they might have went to the Natty. I mean,
we're talking about a Fiesta Bowl game against Penn State.
Yeah. I think they were playing at a similar level as Penn State and Notre Dame. So
yeah,
it becomes very interesting at that point. And
then you have Texas a 5 seed. What if Texas is in the 6 seed instead of the 5 seed?
I mean, Texas could have went to the Natty, but I also think they could have lost in the first round. I'm not as sold. Texas got the benefit of hosting a playoff game, and I don't think they should have.
Of course, they played Ohio State. Texas played Ohio State the toughest.
I know. No, I know. Texas ran into when we saw it when that bracket came out. You're like, man. But I mean, in my opinion, they shouldn't have been playing a home game. So they got the benefit of the home game.
They kind of got the travel benefit of their supposed to be, roadish game in the second round when they went to Atlanta, where Arizona State had to come to Atlanta. I would assume Texas had slightly more.
Well, then they got Ohio State in Arlington. So, I mean, they definitely were on the wrong side of the bracket, but they did get some breaks.
Yeah. So I think that's as far as we can go. We're not going to throw out Tennessee or Clemson going much further, right?
No.
I never thought they really had a chance from the start. Tennessee, Clemson, even Boise to win it. I didn't think they all had a chance.
SMU, no.
Yeah.
Indiana,
SMU, no. Yeah.
I thought if Indiana could get by Notre Dame, I thought they would have had a chance, but it's just on that game alone, you kind of have to go, and the Ohio State game. So.
Well, Indiana, I actually thought just because they're on that side of the bracket, I thought, who knows?
What if Tennessee was switched with Indiana? Tennessee goes into South Bend.
I would have taken Notre Dame, but still, I mean, it's probably a similar score to me. I mean,
Tennessee gets
out a little bit better.
They get out of the first round without having to play up north, and they play in domes or warm weather environments. I think that they're, just as well suited for that as any of the other teams in there. They might have more success than they did.
But I don't think they would have won at. I mean, if where
would they play Georgia? What was the score in that game? They played Georgia, right? They took an L.
Yeah, they lost at Georgia by 10 or so, 10 or 13.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah, but Georgia.
But I'm just saying that Tennessee, you knew was going to have to play on the road, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Where would they have won at?
Yeah. No, I
think I don't know that if they're hosting one of those games, if you played it reversed. And Tennessee was hosting, well, not Ohio State, but maybe Ohio State. I think the home field environment is so fucking key. You think the NFL home field is big? I think college is times 10
for sure.
Yeah. And to me, maybe if Tennessee's at home, or maybe if SMU's at home hosting Penn State, maybe it's a different fucking story. But I think good. I definitely think Boise at home is a different story. I think Boise on the Smurf turf, they've proven that for 25 years. If Boise's playing Penn State on the Smurf turf, I do believe that is a different game.
Well, go ahead, Nick. Sorry.
I was just going to say, part of the reason why I brought that whole exercise up was to highlight how unbalanced the two sides of the bracket were, but also what that means moving forward. Because we've heard that the CFP folks say they're going to meet, and there could be some potential slight adjustments starting next year, maybe if they get the sign off by all the commissioners and whatnot.
They'd be foolish to sign it off because what they're trying to do, the Big Ten and SEC want all the bids. So the ACC, they're going to get it. They have all the power after next year. Yeah. They already signed over the power. So why would you? I would just say, hey, let's do this one more time to see if we can get this. I mean, a fucking independent went to the national championship.
Yeah, you wonder what kind of slight alterations they're even proposing because they were very vague in that. That might be
seating.
You break up there on us?
Yeah, I think he just froze. Hopefully, he'll be back in just a sec.
Yeah.
What happened? No, Patty C, I was agreeing with you. I think what it comes down to is seating.
Yeah, they want to get rid of the bye week, which I am not. I think Patty C's made a good point that this helps the balance because the ranking. Like, if I'm being honest, Texas being in the top 5 the whole season, even after their losses, to me is ridiculous. So I can't trust them to be honest. So if we get rid of the auto bids, which they're going to get rid of, right? I think they're going to, but why not get it one more year?
Yeah,
I think it gives balance. Now it might make the bracket unbalanced,
right? Because honestly, do I think Boise was the 3rd best team in the nation last year? No, but at the same time, like you're never gonna have a perfect system. Like, I think Kurt Cignetti brought up a good point that Indiana should have been hosting over Notre Dame. I think that's fair. I think you can argue that, and I definitely think Texas. People just saying Texas getting the home game. I don't understand why. Like,
well,
you could say SMU had a better resume than Indiana.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Texas had a top 8 resume. The fact that they lost to Georgia twice, they had to play them in the conference.
But they didn't have a top 25 win. You know what I mean? So
that's
it's
true.
Like,
neither
it's
did
like,
Indiana.
why are you hosting? I know.
Why are they so much higher than Indiana? That's a good question.
They never left the top 5. And they had nothing to. They had no meat on the bone, really.
Yeah.
I mean, that was just
what do you guys think of the ACC? Our buddy, not Swafford. Who's the guy now?
Jim Phillips.
Yeah, with him, he came out a few days ago and said the ACC is looking at some possible changes. Did you guys catch that?
I heard more conference games, right?
No, well, he was saying that he was saying that they might not. So the number 1 team, the regular season champion, there's a good chance will not play in the conference championship.
I think that's smart.
Now,
I don't like it.
I mean, well, if you look at it, I mean, SMU losing to Clemson, they dropped from 8 to 10, and somehow Boise and Indiana jumped them. I mean, I get it maybe with Boise because they won, but how did Indiana jump SMU? Because
this happened to USC against Utah. This happened to Penn. This happened a bunch of times here.
But my problem is, he said then so you'd have a regular season champion, and the championship game would be number 2 versus number 3. At that point, like, one, who gives a shit about that game anymore?
Yes, agreed.
And also, you might be hurting your number 2 team to possibly get a berth.
Well, true, but
what if you have 2 ACC teams that are 11-1 or something?
The reality is they shouldn't have the championship games.
Yes,
but the TV companies won't get away with it. Won't do away with those. So
how much bullshit would it be to have a regular season champion and then a championship game champion, even though the regular season champion didn't play in it?
But still, I think it might make sense to get 2 teams into the playoffs.
Sometimes, or it could hurt you too. Maybe though.
Regardless, they should not be trying to game the system in order to best get.
What is the Big Ten and SEC doing?
That's true.
Everybody tries to game the system.
Yeah.
Basically, Patty say we shouldn't have a system where you can game it.
Maybe that's it.
That's what it is.
That the ACC, the SEC and Big Ten are talking auto bids the following year. I think that's going to probably happen. And so it's like, that's gaming the system. If your third fucking team in the conference is sorry, I thought this year proved one thing. The 12-team playoff proved to me, well, I do think the Big Ten was the best conference, but it also proved to me that everyone is fucking close, in my opinion. Like the ACC, Big 12, SEC, and Big 10, there's not a big difference to me in the top level teams there. They're all good.
I still say I think the SEC is the best conference as far from like top to bottom.
I don't know. I think the Big
Ten
Ten
is just so top heavy though.
Still, but I just think like when you have Michigan's backups beat Alabama in Florida when Alabama starters played, when you have Illinois take down South Carolina, I think you're sitting there and Michigan to me was a dangerous, like you talk about making that tournament bigger. I don't think they would have won a national championship or anything, but they were playing really good football towards the end of the year.
Yeah, they were a different team at the end of the year than they were all throughout the year.
But to me, like if you're like you got Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, Minnesota's good. Minnesota was good. Almost they should have beat Penn State if it wasn't for that crazy fake punt, right? Well, they win 9 games this year. I think they won 9.
They still lost to UNC also.
But they go look at the box score on that. They should have won that game. Remember, they just kept missing every field goal, right?
Yeah, Minnesota was solid. They beat USC and USC 6-6, but USC had Penn State on the ropes, played really well against Notre Dame. Like that's still to me like you had to go beat USC and you did it. So that I guess that carries some weight.
The major takeaway, which I think we can all agree to, is that the SEC is no longer head and shoulders above everybody else.
Absolutely.
The Big Ten.
I think the Big Ten was the best conference this year. And I think, Nick, to dive deeper into it, you saw USC beat LSU in Vegas. You know, you saw when they matched up, they won the head-to-head on these things. So I think the Big Ten was, and the top, like I said, I think the best 2 teams in the country were Ohio State and Oregon. Those are Big Ten teams. For some stupid reason, but anyway, want to talk about a few more things. But before I do that, I want to let you know the college football experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Yes, Underdog Pick'em has one of the biggest menus of all sports. Underdog is always making it easy to win with profit boost and gimme pick'ems. They got college football, they got college hoops. And you better believe they got everything else: NFL, CFL, MMA, MLB, NHL, NBA, NASCAR, and much, much more. And you can now use specials and boosts on all flexed entries. So sign up. And when you do, sign up with that promo code TCESGPN to claim your special pick plus first time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code TCESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. SGPN's proud partner, Rhythm, is the #1 AI-powered sports betting platform that helps provide bettors of all levels the ability to build custom predictive betting models in seconds. Look, you can sit back and copy one of the top-performing models from the leaderboard. You'll probably still cash out. But I like to build my own, and then Rhythm will adjust around what I like. They got the brand new app, the Rhythm app. You can track all your picks, NFL picks, NFL props, college hoops, NBA. Rhythm has it all. Claim your free 7-day trial period today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's RITHMM. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. All right, we are back. John in the chat saying if Iowa gets a QB, they'll be a contender. I believe they did get a QB. Mark Gronowski.
Yeah. Jackrabbit.
2-time national champ at South Dakota State in the FCS. And you've seen what those FCS quarterbacks have been doing recently with Cam Ward, Shador Sanders. I don't know, a few other ones.
Saluka.
Yeah. Man, hey, JMU. JMU, he's home. Matthew Saluka.
Chesney. Has Barnett graduated? Is it his job?
No, I think he's still there. I think he's going to hit the portal.
Barnett? No, I think he did his ACL in the bowl game.
So, but I'm saying he still has one more year of eligibility.
It's Barrett, right? No, it's Barnett. Yeah, Alonzo. But yeah, he hurt his knee. I don't know how bad it was, but they also brought in the quarterback from Richmond. So fuck it. We're playing competition. I respect Chesney for that. Don't cater. I mean,
Diego Pavia was another one from D2 ranks. So I mean, yeah, you go get the QBs you can, man. Max Brosmer played pretty damn well for Minnesota this year. I mean, you can go team by team. There was a lot of good FCS quarterbacks that played a season ago. So Iowa will be one to watch. Want to talk about this. First off, rest in peace to the great Bill McCartney, Colorado head coach, who built the Buffs to a powerhouse. And I think it's only fitting that they play Georgia Tech to open the season. It's got to be in the McCartney game because they shared a national championship.
91.
Yeah. So there's that. But I did want to talk a little bit about that. Some scheduling stuff here. Obviously, the ACC schedule comes out Monday. We already have the SEC and Big Ten, and I believe in the next week we get the Big 12. We will have episodes breaking down stuff. But how about, are they finally waking up? We got 2 Sunday games announced today.
Did we? Nice.
2 Sunday Labor Day weekend. We got Virginia Tech, South Carolina going on that Sunday, and we also have Notre Dame at Miami. Notre Dame at Miami on the opening Sunday there. Then Monday, NC Nick, I think this will be a hot ticket, but I think we need to pay up. The Labor Day game is TCU at North Carolina. Belichick, Belichick going in, and I'll be honest, the ACC, and then you saw what they did to ECU, NC State. They moved that to Thursday night.
Oh, dude, we got to be a fun weekend.
And they put Kennesaw State at Wake. In the North Carolina area, we can go hit ECU. I mean, first in Charlotte, you got the Charlotte App State game going on, but Thursday you got. That's on Thursday as well with ECU at NC State. Friday you get hit Kennesaw, Wake. Saturday the slate is unbelievable. You got Alabama at Florida State. You got Texas at Ohio State. Georgia Tech at Colorado. What were some of the other gigantic games? LSU at Clemson. Yeah, LSU at Clemson. And then on obviously the Sunday I alluded to, both those games, and Monday. And the one thing I wanted to note here, we can talk about that Carolina TCU game in a second, but
wait, you said the Texas Ohio State game, right?
Yes. Yeah. Was what they were doing. The ACC going all in. I like this. I think this is normally they don't do the 2 Sunday. So getting showcasing Virginia Tech, South Carolina, showcasing the Notre Dame Miami game, because that's kind of an ACC game. Sure. And then TCU, UNC, that's going to draw a huge number, right?
I think so. I mean, come on, Belichick in college. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
By itself, standalone.
Yeah. I mean,
that'll get some eyeballs.
But let's be honest, the best one's going to be ECU, NC State when they go into the Pussy Packs bullshit little stadium there and celebrate.
Wait, did that game end on a fight, or did it? They make
no. It was like a fourth quarter fight.
Okay.
It was like the ECU had scored to go up, and then I think it was like the final plays of the game was a fight.
Still, you can't get a much chippier off season getting ready for a team than both of those teams have. What are you gonna say, Nick?
I was gonna say I think your buddy joined the chat.
Who's that? Tiny Dick. Ty needs Dick.
I love the way you read that too, Patty, like an old guy, like
yeah, like pulling the glasses down. I should also talk, but I just wanted your take on UNC TCU being the. I think the ACC is going to draw huge numbers really all weekend. I mean, the ECU game obviously is the best football game all year, ECU NC State, but I love that on Saturday you got what Alabama, Florida State, and LSU. I think Duke's at Tulane, Nick. There you go. I gave you your credit.
No, I think they played Elon week 0.
Oh, is that week 1?
Sorry,
yeah.
Week 1.
But then on Sunday you get 2 ACC teams playing 2.5 and away, and then you close with a fire Monday game that should be pretty good, even though it's a Big 12 ACC. I think those will draw big numbers for them.
Yeah, for sure. It's smart. About time.
Which one are you most excited for, NC Nick?
That's a tough question, man. I think maybe it is Belichick, just to see how UNC looks. As an ACC fan, but also as a UNC hater. So everybody's going to be watching that. Like, even if you're not even a college football fan, even if you're more NFL, you're going to watch it to see Belichick, to see how they look. So maybe it's a little TMZ-ish, but no, that one, I'm going to circle that, definitely.
I was thinking we should go to that.
Let's go.
Ticket might be a little hot. Might have to
Hit a couple parlays.
Yeah, let's go.
Up to it. A couple CFL parlays. We'll be in good shape.
I'll bring the charcuterie. All right.
That's right. I'll bring the
you bring
Merlot.
You bring the spritzers. All right.
For you, okay.
Patty C, what do you make of that opening week? Is there a game that you want to see the most? Which one would it be?
The opening, the entire slate, or just the North Carolina?
Well, just the ones I was just talking. No, just all the ones I just mentioned. Notre Dame, Miami's probably either the Beamer Bowl or obviously
you'd have to say
NC State.
Ohio State, Texas is probably going to be 1 versus 2 in preseason, I would guess. So
top 5 at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
How often do you get that? You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
I thought I saw a preseason poll that had Texas at 7, but yeah, it's still going to be top 10. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're losing their offensive line or whatever, but I feel like watching that
throw in a Manning starting. I mean, that game's sweet.
That's true. Quinn Ewers is gone. O-line takes some hits. D-line took some hits too, I think. But yeah, they should still be pretty damn good. I mean, Ohio State, they're another interesting one because you lose your entire D-line, I feel like, is gone. And Will Howard's gone. Yeah. So
is it going to be the Julian Sayin show?
I think so. They've been raving about him. So
I don't care for the name. It doesn't roll off your tongue that easily.
Just saying. It's got a little something there. Just saying.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
We're working on it.
But yeah, I mean, there's that. Al Golden, by the way, took the job of the Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator today. So Notre Dame's got to fill the holes at DC. But Notre Dame's a team that was incredibly young. Now Riley Leonard's gone.
Yeah.
And I think they had an offensive lineman hit the portal today, but still they were starting a shit ton of underclassmen this year. So they should be in pretty good shape as long as they get a quarterback.
They may not have to go very far for the quarterback because remember that backup and Jelly stepped in what game was it? It was the
Penn State game. Right?
Yeah, it was the Penn State game. Yeah, he stepped in and looked good. So I mean, they may not have to go to the portal.
They have Lloyd Carr's grandson. They have Lloyd Carr's grandson, who is a big recruit that they got over Michigan.
Okay,
they could be. You got the Manning grandson. You got the Lloyd Carr grandson. All right. Where's everybody else? All right. Where's Bo Jackson at? What the fuck's going on here?
You want to know something crazy?
What's that?
My brother, his son plays football with Jim Harbaugh's son on their flag football team.
Wow.
Just learned that one the other day.
How old are we talking?
8 or 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not playing tackle yet?
Yeah.
Not yet.
California.
I think you got to go down nowadays to like South Central to get a tackle football team.
Everyone's mad at Gavin Newsom for the wrong reasons. Right? So, there was no water in the fire hydrants, but who gives a shit about water right now? God damn it. The tackle football is here to stay. All right. Yeah. All right. That's our show. We'll be back. ACC schedule drops Monday. They're putting that on the ACC network. There we go.
Let's put a quick bow on the year that was here. I mean, what are some of the major highlights? I mean,
12 team is way better than anything college football has ever had.
100%. How about Army and Navy both winning double-digit games?
Amazing.
Army winning 12.
Yeah, and I want to take a moment to push back on Feinbaum and those that think that game sucks and they should give away that Saturday. I completely disagree. There's already bowl games that Saturday. Army, Navy, it's the least we can do is honor the fucking troops. The fucking troops and play that game.
Like I don't want to give away an entire weekend of college football that could be.
There's bowl games that day.
Are there later in that day? I thought that was a standalone.
No, this year was the first one.
Yeah.
They get there's bowl games.
So Colby is wearing camo, so we know.
You goddamn right.
But no, I agree.
You goddamn right.
Have that game standalone and then a couple other games that day. Perfect.
No playoff though. I don't want the playoff that day. I like it going deeper into January. The people that think it's too deep, they're foolish. You can go all the way to the end of fucking February. All right, let's go.
I mean
not the end of January. I mean, like you could do your natty on February 2nd.
I don't need to waste a weekend of college football altogether to honor Army Navy. Give it a standalone spot. You know, I would like for it to. I say Black Friday might not be good enough. Maybe Thanksgiving, but that all of them take a lot. Black Friday would be easy enough. You give it a standalone spot on Black Friday, it's fine. But you're not going to get a standalone spot on Rivalry Saturday. You're not going to get Thanksgiving. You're not going to get.
That's what I'm saying. It's fine the way it is.
Well, and the reason why you don't have CFP games that Saturday is that would be a major disadvantage, another one, to people that play in the conference championship game because they would not get a bye. They would roll right into it.
And
they'd be playing somebody that gets a bye that didn't play in the conference championship.
And if they keep talking about this player safety thing, if they, you know, like getting that much rest, it's a good thing, right?
It's a fair point. Fair point. If they do away with conference championships, then
which I would love. I think conference championships are stupid. I would love to get rid of those.
Especially stupid nowadays with the very large conferences where it means nothing because most of the time you don't even have the two best teams in the conference in the game because of unbalanced scheduling.
Yes, and that's only going to continue. That's what I can't wait. That's why it's most important, honestly, to look at all these schedules. Like, how many of us over the past 2 years, you know, have been able to, or not even past 2 years, but the past year, how much of that had to do with the schedule? I thought, you know, I had Ohio State, Oregon in the Big Ten championship, but I thought Penn State was possible because I thought their schedule broke nice. I had Indiana. Now, I didn't have Indiana in the playoffs, but I even made a case for them to make the playoffs in our episode because I go, this schedule. Now, I also did that with Rutgers, but, you know, that's just because their schedules were so soft that I was like, wow, they could do something. I thought the same for Tennessee.
And throw SMU in the same boat. I was just about, you know, to cap off my recap, I was about to say, how about, you know, teams like Indiana and SMU having maybe arguably their best seasons ever.
Yeah.
They've been playing football for 120 years, best seasons ever this year. A lot of that was schedule based. They both had some pretty nice slates.
Yeah, I think being able to look at the schedule and foresee one of those or two of those three teams having the best year ever just based on their schedule, you can flex that, you know. Because Rutgers didn't hit and win as much as they could have. The fact that Indiana went 11-1 and so did SMU and in the Power Four, incredible. And that's because of the schedule. But that just shows you maybe the conference championship games.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work out. Like I was high on Missouri this year because I thought their schedule was trash.
I was high on A&M and they were damn close because their schedule was trash.
That's a fun, like nowadays, like looking at futures come summertime is that you really want to look at, you know, find a good team with the right schedule. And if it's juicy, lay a nice future on them to go to the CFP or to go to a conference championship game or to win a conference. So that'll be fun moving forward. More so than it was maybe 3, 4, or 5 years ago, because now it's more unbalanced.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, look, we're going to talk all about it Monday. They released the ACC. Then all we need is the Big 12. And then I think we could dive into some. After that would be the group of 5 and UConn. Can't forget about UConn. Yeah. I'm excited. We'll be here for it. Appreciate you rocking with us for the whole year. Shout out to the Ohio State Buckeyes. I know Patty, he wants to vomit. But everyone doubted you in your most expensive roster in college football. The New York Yankees did win it all in college football this year. Good redemption story though. Good redemption story. Give Patty C a follow on Twitter at PattyC831, NC Nicks on Twitter at NC__NICK. I'm on Twitter at TheColbyD. Till next time, folks. This is the college football experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we out of here. Run, shoot.